Yo, bless up, big girl, Miss J. Anyway, yo, so we're going to begin again, taking the time out to read, express some time with you with some books. So, anyway, the first book, I read it before, we're going to read it again. It's called Dr. Soto, and he is a dentist. But the unique thing about him being a dentist is he is a mouse. So, therefore, let us begin. Dr. De Soto, the dentist, did very good work. So he had no end of patience. In other words, he had plenty of patience. Those close to his own size, moles, chipmunks, and etc., sat in the regular dentist chair. In other words, you see how big that pig is? Sow, hog. So they of that size would sit in a big chair, a regular chair, while he worked around them. So anyway, larger animals sat on the floor, while Dr. De Soto stood on a ladder. And as you see, once again, he is standing on a ladder. Oh yeah, Dr. De Soto. For extra large animals, he had a special room. There, Dr. De Soto will hoist up the patient's mouth by his assistant, who also happened to be his wife. As you see, a patient is waiting to get seen by Dr. Sotos. And here, a larger animal, as you see, they would use a hoist, which is called a pulley and a rope. And it pulls him up and guides him where he needs to go. That is Dr. Soto working with his wife on a patient. Okay. Dr. De Soto was especially popular with big animals. He was able to work inside their mouth wearing rubbers to keep his feet dry, and his fingers were so delicate and his drill so dainty they could hardly feel any pain, meaning they was very small. All right. And as you see, Dr. De Soto in the cow's mouth, and he's working on his teeth. Wow. Being a mouse, he refused to treat animals dangerous to mice. In other words, if animals would like to eat mice, he would not deal with them. And he said so on, and it said so on his sign. When the doorbell rang, he and his wife could look outside the window. They wouldn't admit even the most tedious looking cat, meaning if the cat or animal look kind of mean or aggressive, no, you won't come in here. And as you see the sign illustrates just that. But let us continue on. One day, when they looked out, they saw a well-dressed fox with a flannel badge around his jaw, meaning he had something around his jaw. More likely his teeth was hurting. As you see right there, they looked out the window and there's a fox. As you see, he had something wrapped around his jaw. I can't treat you, sir, Dr. De Soto shouted. Sir, haven't you read my sign? Please, the fox wailed, have mercy upon me. I'm suffering. And he wept so bitterly it was pitiful to see. You see, this one crying, weeping. Please help me. Just a moment, said Dr. De Soto. That poor fox, he whispered to his wife. What shall we do? Let's risk it, said Dr. De Soto. She pressed the buzzer and let the fox in. And here he is speaking to his wife, making a decision to help the fox. Okay. He was up the stairs in a flash. Bless your little hearts, he cried, falling on his knees. I beg you, do something. My tooth is killing me. Here is the fox, groveling at his feet. Please help me, Mr. Mouse, Doctor. Sit on the floor, sir, said Dr. DeSoto, and remove the bandage, please. See, Dr. Soto is preparing, washing his hands, that he can identify what is the problem, the discrepancy within the mouth of this fox. Dr. DeSoto climbed up the ladder and bravely entered the fox's mouth. Oh, wow, he grasped. The fox had a rotten biscuit and an unusual bad breath, meaning that he had something lodged in his teeth, and his breath was not so kindly. This tooth will have to come out, Dr. DeSoto announced, but we can make you a new one. As you see, he's in his mouth. He's about to pull it out. Just stop the pain, whimpered the fox, whimpering some tears away. Despite his misery, he realized he had a tasty little morsel in his mouth, and his jaw began quivering. Keep it open, yelled Dr. DeSoto. Wide open, yelled his wife. Of course, foxes like to eat mice. So to have this mouse in his mouth, well, the fox felt kind of hungry, may we say, but the doctor mouse said, keep your mouth open. I'm giving you gas now, said Dr. DeSoto. You won't feel a thing when I yank that tooth. Soon the fox was in a dreamland. He mumbled, how I love them raw, with just a pinch of salt and dry white wine. Well, this is the fox. He's under some gas and he's dreaming. And he's dreaming of eating the mouse, which is the doctor who's trying to help him. They could guess what he was dreaming about. Mrs. DeSoto handed her wife a pole to keep the fox's mouth open. As he's dreaming, he's feeling something in his mouth, around his tongue. Thus, the dream would become real to him. So, the doctor's wife gives him a pole to keep his mouth open. Just imagine if he closed his mouth, what would happen? Dr. DeSoto fastened his extractor to the bad tooth. Then he and his wife began turning the winch. Finally, with a sucking sound, the tooth popped out and hung, swaying in the air. Here's the bad tooth. They poked it out, and it came out with a sound. I'm bleeding, the fox yelped. When he came to, Dr. DeSoto ran up the ladder and stuffed some gouge in the hole. The worst is over, he said. I'll have your new tooth ready tomorrow. Be here at 11 sharp. The fox, still woozy, said goodbye and left. On his way home, he wondered if it would be shabby of him to eat the doctor. No, that is not right. You see, he's walking off thinking. Of course, that would be wrong. 1 second. Woo! Turning my burgers over. Turning my burgers over. Turning my burgers. Burgers. Over. Wait. Okay. Back to the story. Okay. So, after office hours, Mr. DeSoto molded a tooth of pure gold and polished it. Raw, with salt indeed, muttered Dr. DeSoto. How foolish to trust a fox. In other words, what he's saying is that while he was under the gas, you won't have me for a meal upon your mouth. He didn't know what he was saying, said Mr. Soto. Why should he harm us? We're helping him. Because he's a fox, said Dr. DeSoto. They're wicked, wicked creatures. As you see, Miss DeSoto is talking to her husband, Dr. DeSoto. That night, the DeSotos laid awake worrying. Should we let him in tomorrow? Mr. Soto wondered. Once I start a job, and the dentist firmly, I finish it. My father was the same way. But we must do something to protect ourselves. And his wife, they talked and talked until they formed a plan. I think it will work, said Dr. DeSoto. A minute later, he was snoring. As you see, they are complaining and plotting a course to protect themselves. If so happened, the fox would happen to try to eat Dr. DeSoto. Let's see. The next morning, promptly at 11, a very cheerful fox turned up. He was feeling not a partial of pain. In other words, he wasn't feeling no pain. When Dr. DeSoto got into his mouth, he snapped it shut for a moment, then opened it wide and laughed. I'm just joking. Be serious, said Dennis sharply. We have work to do. His wife was laundering the heavy tooth up to the ladder. So, as you see, first, here, he enters. No pain. Here, Dr. Soto says that he had closed his mouth. Now we know a fox is a wicked animal. Oh, I love it, he claimed. The fox, it's just beautiful. Dr. DeSoto set the gold tooth in its socket and hooked it up to the teeth on both sides. The fox caressed his new tooth with his tongue. My, it feels good, he thought. I really shouldn't eat them. On the other hand, how can I resist? You see, he's thinking. Devious, wicked one, must say this one is... We're not finished, said Dr. DeSoto. Holding up a large jug, I have here a remarkable preparation developed only recently by my wife and me. With just one application, you can be rid of toothaches forever. How would you like to be the first one to receive this unique treatment? You see, they're offering him a potion before he gets ahead of himself to do wicked to them. Can't trust everyone. No. I certainly would, the fox declared. I will be so honored. He hated any kind of personal pain, the fox did. You will never have to see us again, said Dr. Soto. No one will see you again, said the fox to himself. He had definitely made up his mind to eat them. With the help of his brand new tooth, Dr. DeSoto stepped into the fox's mouth with a bucket, with the secret formula, and proceeded to paint each tooth. He hummed as he worked. Mr. DeSoto stood by on the ladder and pointing out spots he had missed. The fox looked very happy. The plan that they plotted while they were sleeping was to put this potion upon his teeth. We will see what is this potion that they are applying to his teeth. When the dentist was done, he stepped out. Now close your jaws tight, he said, and keep them closed for a full minute. The fox did as he was told. Then he tried to open his mouth, but his teeth were stuck together. "Oh, excuse me. I should have mentioned," said Dr. De Soto. "You won't be able to open your mouth for a day or two. The secret formula must permit the dentine. Must permit the dentine. But don't worry, no pain ever again." The fox was stunned. He stared at the Dr. De Soto, then at his wife. They smiled and waited. All he could do was say, "Frank Bush." In other words, he's talking through his teeth, through his clenched teeth, and get up and leave. He tried to do so with dignity. In other words, he's talking like this, because the glue is the secret potion. Now he cannot open his mouth to eat the doctor and his wife. Thus he must leave. Then he stumbled down the stairs in a daze. Dr. De Soto and his assistant had outfoxed the fox. They kissed each other and took the rest of the day off. Here's the thing. Always be prepared to outfox a fox. And that is the book, once again, of the day. Bless up.